Your food smells really nice.
Do you know this woman?
Yes, she's Mina's mother.
Whisper through the banyan leaves, 1,000 lives in every breeze. Drums that pulse, they softly tease. Time folds the stories we. Echoes rise, they call us near. Through shadowed past, the path is clear. Blasian tales, the heart can hear. A world reborn in every tear.
Junseo opened his eyes in surprise. Does your mummy know this? Mina shook her head. Mummy doesn't know. She has been very busy, and that is why Uncle Woobin brought me to the hospital so I can see her. Junseo thought about it and felt there was something fishy. In order to be sure, he asked Mina, "Is your mummy fat or slim?" "My mummy is slim," she replied. Now Junseo became convinced that Mina's mother was deliberately hiding from him. The nanny must have been ordered by Mina's mother to do what she did, but Mina wouldn't know because she was a child. This meant that even if she came here, she was going to hide the moment she saw him. Since she worked here, it meant she was Dr. M's employee. If he asked Dr. M to help him fish out Mina's mother, would she be willing to help him? No, that wasn't proper. If it turned out that Dr. M was Muna, she may not be happy to hear that he had a child with another woman. At least he needed to reconcile with her and bridge the gap between them. Only then would it be proper to tell her about his daughter. Mina's mother was trying to play him for a fool. This meant that she was someone sly, which would explain how she got pregnant for him without his knowledge. He knew just how to fish her out. He would prove to her that he wasn't easy to fool. Mina took out one of her biscuits and gave it to Junseo. "I'm giving you one of my biscuits because you are my friend and I like you a lot." Junseo smiled, took the biscuit from her and said, "Thank you so much, princess." Woobin came in right at that moment and stared at Junseo angrily. Once again, he said nothing to Junseo and rather said, "Mina, it's time to go." Mina said goodbye to Junseo and left with Woobin while he got up and left the hospital, feeling so happy. He opened the biscuit and began eating it. Although he didn't eat things like that, it was a gift from his daughter, and he couldn't imagine himself not eating something she gave him with so much love. Junseo got back home and made his plans. When it was morning, he got ready while it was still early and left for Mina's school. Just as he did the last time, Junseo hid behind one of the pillars beside the school gate and waited for Minza's nanny. She soon arrived with Mina, and when they got to the gate, Mina said goodbye, Mummy, and went into the school compound. When the nanny left, Junseo looked at the pictures and videos he had taken and felt satisfied. They were in high definition and captured the nanny's face clearly. The moment he left the school's premises, Junseo forwarded the pictures and videos of the nanny to his private investigator, and below them he wrote, "She goes by the name Harin and works as a nanny. I want to know the name and the face of the woman she works for, as soon as possible." Junseo had a meeting with Tiong after that, and spent the rest of his day driving around the city while waiting for the private investigator to get back to him. When it was evening, Junseo received the message he had been waiting for and was surprised. The private investigator sent a picture. In the picture, Mina's nanny stood in the midst of Dr. M and Woobin. The investigator informed Junseo that in the nanny's post on social media where she posted the picture, she had captioned it as "a wonderful day with my amazing boss." There was nothing else to indicate where she worked, but going by the picture and what she wrote, it was safe to conclude that she worked for either Dr. M or Woobin. Junseo was very shocked. He wouldn't be surprised if the nanny was connected to Woobin, but Dr. M. He never knew that Woobin and Dr. M knew each other. He had seen him at Dr. M's hospital the last time he was there. Junseo quickly typed M's specialist hospital and searched for it on the internet. He saw Woobin's picture displayed as their top cardiac surgeon and found it difficult to believe what he had discovered. Could Muna be Mina's mother? But how was that possible when he was Mina's father? He never had sex with Muna, and Minho took her virginity the night before she supposedly died. Mina did not live with Woobin, so how could her nanny be working for Woobin? If the nanny worked for Dr. M, then it meant she was Mina's mother, which invariably meant that Dr. M was Muna. Junseo opened the door of his car, which he had parked by the side of the road. His heart was thumping loudly, and he felt like screaming. He didn't want to get ahead of himself, but he could not stop himself from feeling so hopeful. Although he could not explain how Muna would have a child for him when he had never touched her, but he hoped that Muna was the one. There was only one person who could honestly confirm his suspicions, but to get to her, he needed to wait until tomorrow. He wished there was a way he could meet Mina before tomorrow, but no matter how hard he thought, his only solution was to wait. In the end, he drove back to his hotel and went straight to his room. He closed his eyes and imagined himself reunited with Muna and their daughter Mina. He soon began to feel like his heart was going to explode from excitement and ended up ordering bottles of wine. Junseo kept drinking alone in his hotel room until he became drunk. He sat on the couch and rehearsed the things he was going to say to Muna once he had confirmed the truth from his daughter. He kept drinking and talking and ended up spending the night on the couch. When he woke up in the morning, his head was in pain and his body felt weak. He got up from the couch and lay on the bed to continue sleeping, but he suddenly recalled what he needed to do today, and his eyes flung open. He checked the time and saw that it was already past 9. He cursed loudly, quickly jumped out of bed, and ran into the bathroom. After getting ready, Junseo left his hotel room in a haste, but he wasn't feeling too good, so he stopped by a pharmacy and got some pain relievers. When he arrived at Mina's school, all the children had gone into their classes, including Mina. Junseo met the same lady whom he had met last time at the reception. The lady smiled when she saw him, and Junseo heaved a sigh of relief. Since the lady was friendly, he was convinced that she would let him see Mina. However, when Junseo told her that he wanted to meet his daughter, her reply was, "I'm sorry, but she is in class learning at the moment, and you can't meet her without the consent of her guardian." Junseo stared at her in surprise. "Are you kidding me? I've been here before, and you know that I'm her father. I just need a few seconds with her." The lady shook her head. "I understand that you are familiar with her, but there are rules here, and I can lose my job if I break them. Only her guardian has the right to see her during school hours. If she gives her consent, I will bring her out. Otherwise, you will have to wait until when it's her break time or after school." Junseo stared at the woman and suddenly felt like smashing her head into the wall. He thought of going inside, but he didn't know which was Mina's class, and he didn't want to make a scene or embarrass his daughter. He stared at the woman again and softened his angry expression. Moving closer to her, he said, "Please, I am begging you. I just need to ask her a question. If you lose your job, I promise to give you a much better one." The woman stared at Junseo suspiciously. She could not trust his words but decided to help him. "What do you want to ask her? I will ask her for you." Junseo suddenly realized that the woman could also answer his question. Although he couldn't trust her, he still opened his gallery and showed her Muna's picture. "Do you know this woman?" The woman smiled. "Of course I do. She is Mina's mom." Junseo controlled his emotions and just smiled at the woman. "Thank you so much. I just need my daughter to confirm what you have said before me. Please." The woman stared at Junseo for a while and finally said, "Wait here." Junseo was very excited and kept tapping his foot on the floor. Mina soon came out with the woman and happily ran to Junseo, who knelt on one knee and hugged her. He stared at her with so much love that his eyes became misty. Mina just kept smiling at him while he showed her Muna's picture. He was about to ask if she knew Muna, but she opened her mouth in surprise and asked him instead, "You have my mummy's picture." A tear fell from one of Junseo's eyes, but Mina wiped it. "Why are you crying, Junseo?" Junseo once again held himself back from telling Mina that he was her father despite how badly he wanted to. "I will see you later in the day," he whispered and kissed her cheeks for the first time. "You can go back inside and continue with your lesson. I have something to tell you later." Mina said goodbye and went into the class. Junseo wiped his eyes and smiled at the woman who was looking at him with a surprised expression. He was so happy and wanted to appreciate her, but he didn't carry any money with him, so he took out the chain he wore around his wrist and gave it to the woman. She was surprised but shook her head. "No, sir, there's no need for you to do this." Junseo said, "Please, I insist. I'm not trying to pay you for what you did, but in the past 5 years, I have not felt as happy as I do now. This is pure gold. You can choose to sell it or keep it. Just take it that this is your way of celebrating with me today." The woman finally accepted the chain and thanked Junseo. She knew it was genuine the moment she saw it around his wrist. Junseo quickly ran back to his car and began driving to Muna's hospital. On his way, he thought about his encounter with Dr. M and all the things she had done to convince him that she wasn't Muna. He recalled what Minu had told him and concluded that it must have been a plan between the both of them to make him give up. He didn't know how Mina came to be his daughter, but he was sure that Muna would have an explanation. There had to be an explanation somehow. He arrived at the hospital and was about to get out of his car when he saw Woobin entering the hospital. He suddenly recalled how Mina had told him the first time he met her that Woobin wanted to marry Muna and become her father. It now made sense to him why Woobin hated him so much. He would not let Muna go, not this time. He was going to be as selfish as ever. If Muna and Woobin were in a relationship, he would break them apart. If she was in love with Woobin, he would steal back her heart. He would do everything, but he would not let go of Muna this time. He saw a nurse come out of the hospital and asked if Dr. M was around. She said, "Yes, but she's attending to patients right now." Junseo recalled Muna's specialty and suddenly had an idea. He drove out of the hospital and withdrew a lot of money before heading back. He was ready to bribe anyone he could if it would make his mission possible. He didn't want Woobin to see him because he was afraid that he would warn Muna and she would run away. He went to the reception, but there were quite a number of people waiting. He met one of the nurses and said, "Excuse me, can I please speak to you?" The nurse agreed and moved to the side to speak to him. Meanwhile, Junseo took out a wad of cash and showed it to the nurse. She gasped in surprise while he told her that she could have all the money if she did what he wanted. The nurse was tempted, but she was also suspicious. She refused to accept the money without hearing what Junseo wanted. Junseo opened his phone and showed her Muna's pictures. "This is my wife. 5 years ago, she faked her death and disappeared from my life. I've lived all these years mourning her death and only discovered today that she is Dr. M. We even have a daughter together. If she knows I'm here, she will try to hide from me because I wasn't a good husband to her, and I deeply regret it. I just need your help to ask for her forgiveness." The nurse finally relaxed and took the money while Junseo told her about the plan. He informed the nurse that he did not want Woobin to interfere, and she assured him that he wouldn't because he was in the theater with a patient. Junseo heaved a sigh of relief and waited in a corner for his moment. Muna got up from her chair and yawned. It was almost time for her lunch and she was very tired. She began to arrange her things, but a nurse came inside with a file. It was the same nurse Junseo had bribed. When Muna saw the file, she said, "Tell Minseo to attend to the patient. I'm very tired and I want to go for lunch." The nurse immediately said, "Please, doctor, this patient pleaded that he specifically wants to see you. He said his heart is in a lot of pain and he feels like dying. I feel so sorry for him. Please see him before you leave." The nurse believed that Muna was kind-hearted and would not be able to say no, and she was right. Muna sighed and went back to her seat. "All right, send him in, but this is the last patient I will see for now." The nurse nodded and left while Muna took the file and opened it. Seeing that only KJ was written as his name, Muna wondered who it was. She stopped wondering when the door opened and Junseo came inside. It suddenly dawned on her that KJ was the initials of Kim Junseo. She got up from her seat and picked up her bag to leave, but Junseo stood in front of her and blocked her path. Muna stared at him angrily. "Get out of my office, Mr. Kim. Otherwise, I will have the security throw you out." Junseo smiled at her and held her chin with his thumb and index finger. "That is no way to speak to your husband after 5 years, my little Muna Kim." Muna pushed Junseo with both her hands. He pretended to stagger backward, but quickly turned when his back touched the door and locked it. Muna realized that Junseo had trapped her and quickly picked up the phone to call security, but Junseo hurriedly took the phone away from her. She decided to scream for help, but Junseo covered her mouth with his hand. Muna struggled hard and ended up biting Junseo. He flinched and let go of her mouth while Muna yelled at him. "What exactly is your problem? How many times will I tell you that I am not the person you are looking for? Stop trying to force me into becoming whoever it is you have lost, or better still, get a doctor to look at your brain, which I am now convinced is defective." Junseo smiled bitterly. "Do you really hate me so much, Muna? Even after Mina has confirmed that you are her mum, are you still going to play games with me?" Muna stared at Junseo in surprise. She had completely ignored the possibility that Junseo could find out the truth about her identity from Mina. She knew Mina was honest to a fault, and she didn't want to teach her how to lie, but now she regretted not doing so. She suddenly became afraid, as she knew that Junseo was now sure of her identity. Junseo began walking closer, while Muna slowly walked backward until she had her back against the wall. Junseo kept walking until he was standing dangerously close to her, and they were only a few inches apart. Muna knew that she didn't have the will to fight Junseo for long. She still loved him as much as she did in the past, and despite how much she wished differently, her body longed for his touch. She had been lonely for far too long, but she also could not forget who Junseo really was. He was the enemy, and he made it perfectly clear to her 5 years ago. Junseo kept staring at her without a word, and although Muna bent her head to avoid making eye contact with him, she could feel his intense gaze burning her skin. Junseo cupped the sides of Muna's face so her eyes could meet his. "Muna," he breathed. "Muna, my little Muna. For the past 5 years, having you this close to me has been possible only in my dreams. Hell, I still feel like I am in a trance. I came here, having so much in mind to say to you, but now that you are in front of me, I am tongue-tied." Muna could hear Junseo's heart racing as his chest rose and fell rapidly. She also had a lot to say, a lot to complain about, but she was at a loss for words. Now that Junseo knew who she was, she found it difficult to even breathe in front of him. Her mind kept reminding her that Junseo was mean and evil and must have come with a motive. It urged her to push him away and kick him out of her office, but her heart and her body felt weak. With Junseo's hands slowly caressing her face, she gave in to her weakness and closed her eyes. Junseo took that as an invitation and claimed her lips. Muna felt her body on fire, and her desires, which she had long buried, were completely resurrected. Junseo kissed her slowly at first, and she responded in the same manner, but in a few minutes, they both got carried away. Her hands, which were initially folded by her sides, now circled Junseo's neck, while his hands fumbled with the collar of her shirt as he tried to undo her buttons. Their moans and the clashing sounds of their lips and tongues filled the room, and Muna knew what was about to happen, but she was way past reason to care about the consequences of her actions. A knock on the door suddenly brought her back to earth, and when she heard Woobin's voice, she instinctively pushed Junseo away and quickly buttoned up her shirt, which was already 4 buttons loose. Junseo tried to control his breathing. Meanwhile, Woobin kept knocking on the door and asking, "Dr. M, are you in there?" Muna felt confused. Woobin was her closest friend, and she knew that he had feelings for her. She had never told him about her history with Kim Junseo or that she was once married to him. She also didn't give Woobin any assurances. Each time he brought up the issue of his feelings for her, Muna would tell him that she wasn't yet ready to have a man in her life. She knew that he was waiting for her, as he kept dropping subtle hints through Mina. She never expected that Junseo would appear in her life and had promised herself that if someday she decided to get married again and Woobin's offer was still open, she would take it. This was the reason why she was afraid to respond to Woobin. She didn't want to break his heart so unexpectedly, but his voice had also brought her back to her senses. The nurse whom Junseo had earlier paid quickly came to the door and said, "Dr. Woobin, Dr. M is with a patient, and his case is complicated, so she asked that no one should disturb her." Woobin nodded and said, "Okay, when she's done with the patient, please let me know. I'll be in my office." Mina heaved a sigh of relief when she heard Woobin walk away. She instantly realized that Junseo must have bribed the nurse because she was the same person who had pleaded and lied to Mina that Junseo was a patient. At this point, Junseo had become calm and wanted to speak. He moved closer and said, "Mina." "Yes, I am Mina," she cut him off angrily. "I am still alive, but that doesn't change anything. Do not think that you have a right over me. Yes, I faked my death, but that was because I was sick and tired of being forced to live with a devil like you. Mina is your daughter, yes, and if you want to be in her life, I won't stop you. However, don't get any funny ideas. Do not try to touch me because I belong to someone else now. I am not the same weak Mina that you used and trampled on. I have changed, and I could not care less about you. When you are tired of being in my office, you can see yourself out." After speaking, Mina walked towards the door and unlocked it while Junseo watched quietly as she opened the door and left. Junseo leaned on Mina's table and wondered what she meant when she said that she belonged to someone else. He didn't understand her relationship with, but he knew that it was beyond workmates since it was enough to make her push him away. He wasn't mistaken about something, though. The love letter Mina left for him years ago was still neatly kept in his house. He had reread it like 1,000,000 times and could say every single line by heart. He felt her love for him each time he recalled those words, and her reaction to him confirmed it. She had kissed him back and wanted him just as much as he wanted her. This meant that he still had a chance. Whatever her relationship with Woobin was, it didn't matter. This was the time for him to be shameless, and he wasn't going to stop until he had his wife back. Despite everything, he was extremely happy. Mina was still alive, and that was the most important thing. She had punished him for far too long, but not anymore. He came out of her office and closed the door. He looked around for her, but there was no sign of her. The nurse he had paid some money came to him and informed him that Mina had gone out. She asked him how it went, and he just smiled and gave her more money. The nurse couldn't stop jumping for joy as the day had turned out to be her lucky day. Junseo looked at his watch and saw that it was almost time for Mina's nanny to pick her up. He quickly got into his car and drove to her school. He was happy when he arrived before the nanny. Since they had not yet closed, he went to stand by the reception. The woman at the reception just shook her head and smiled when she saw him. He must really love his daughter, she thought. Junseo soon heard the sound of the bell and wanted to go in and get Mina, but she turned out to be the first pupil that came out. He quickly lifted her off the ground and spun her around while she screamed excitedly. She felt dizzy afterward, so Junseo carried her in his arms and sat on a bench inside the school compound. "Why were you the first student to come out?" he asked. "It's because you said you will tell me something, so I was coming to see you," she replied. Junseo made her stand in between his legs and face him. "What I want to tell you is that I am not just your friend, but your father as well." Mina opened her mouth in surprise. "You are my daddy." Junseo nodded. He expected Mina to be very excited, but she rather had a weird expression on her face, as though she was in deep thought. Junseo playfully touched her nose. "What are you thinking about? Are you not happy that I am your daddy?" Mina smiled. "I am happy, but Uncle Woobin said that he was going to be my daddy, so I am surprised." Junseo was tempted to ask Mina if she preferred Woobin to him, but he realized that he wasn't ready to hear her answer. He was going to feel hurt if she chose Woobin, but he wouldn't be able to blame her because she had known Woobin for longer. Perhaps if Muna had told him about his daughter from the moment she was born, he would have been closer to her, and someone like Woobin wouldn't have gotten the chance to be in her life. He had still not asked Muna how she became pregnant with his child. They had a lot to talk about, and he wasn't going to wait around until Muna felt comfortable. They had already wasted 5 years of their lives being apart from each other. He wasn't going to waste even a single day. He pulled Mina closer to his body and hugged her. "Forget about Woobin being your daddy," he whispered. "I am the only daddy you have, and I'm going to be your only daddy forever. Would you like that?" Mina looked at Junseo's face and said, "Yes, I would really like that." Her answer was good enough for him, and he decided to take his relationship with her one step at a time. He noticed her nanny coming in through the gate and said, "Your nanny is here. Let's go home." The nanny, who had not met Junseo all this time, heaved a sigh of relief as she felt their plan would finally succeed. She opened her arms for a hug and said, "My baby," while Mina ran to her and said, "Mummy." Junseo laughed at the script that was acted out in front of him. The nanny's expression showed that she was ready to answer whatever questions Junseo asked. Junseo smiled as he imagined all the stories Muna must have told her to tell him. He didn't want to waste any time, so he said, "You must be Harin, my daughter's nanny." The nanny was surprised and wanted to speak, but Junseo said, "It's okay. I know about the ice cream you promised my daughter, and I also know that Dr. M is her mum, so save yourself the stress." He took Mina from the arms of the nanny, who was staring at him in shock and embarrassment, but Junseo didn't pay her any more attention. He took Mina to his car and was about to put her in the back seat when the nanny, who was walking slowly behind them, ran to him. "What do you think you are doing, sir? It is my responsibility to take Mina home, so please let me do my job." Junseo smiled at the nanny and asked, "Where is home?" Muna parked her car by the roadside and walked towards a garden. She found her favorite spot and sat down, staring into space. She came here whenever she felt overwhelmed with her emotions, and the tranquil environment always made her feel better. As she thought back to what happened inside her office, she closed her eyes and began to cry. How could she be so weak and forget about what happened the last time Junseo slept with her? He had humiliated her and set her up afterward. It was cruel that he treated her that way after taking her first time. How could she forget so soon? The fact that there was Mina between them meant that Junseo would find excuses to be around her. What was it about him that made her shiver each time he as much as touched her? She couldn't explain it, and she didn't know what to do about her situation. Despite how much she tried to act strong, she was still the same Muna who had fallen hopelessly in love with Junseo when they were stranded on an island. After sitting for a few hours, Muna became calm and better, but she also felt hungry. It was almost time for dinner. She didn't eat lunch and she couldn't eat out because she didn't want her daughter to eat alone. She went back to her car and drove to her house. At least there was someone there waiting for her who would always make her smile no matter how sad she felt. The moment she entered her house, though, Muna was shocked to see the scene before her. Junseo wore an apron and was setting food in the dining while Mina sat on one of the dining chairs watching him. The moment Muna entered, they both turned and stared at her. Mina came down from the chair while Junseo smiled at her and said, "You're just in time for dinner." When Junseo took Mina towards his car, her nanny ran to him and tried to stop him by reminding him that it was her job to take Mina home. Junseo smiled and asked her, "Where is home?" The nanny stared at him without knowing what to say. She couldn't tell him where they lived without Muna's consent. It wasn't her place. When she refused to answer, Junseo opened the door of his car once again to put Mina inside it, but the nanny held his arm and pleaded, "Please, Mr. Junseo, don't put me into trouble with my boss. I am only a nanny and I'm not allowed to give out our address to anyone. Why don't you ask Dr. M to give you the address?" Junseo smiled at the nanny again and handed Mina to her. "I won't make things difficult for you, so go ahead. As you said, I will just ask someone else about it." "Mina, can you tell me where your address is?" The nanny watched in surprise as Mina said, "Yes, it's in Arryn Royal Estate." The nanny quickly turned, and took Mina to the car, while Mina waved at Junseo. Junseo blew her a kiss and she smiled. Such an adorable bundle of joy, he thought before entering his car. Even if Mina had not told him, nothing would have stopped him because he planned on following the nanny in his own car, and that was exactly what he did. The moment the nanny left, Junseo followed directly behind her. She saw that Junseo was following her and parked her car by the roadside to call Mina and tell her everything, but Mina had left her phone inside the car while she sat in the garden. The nanny realized that Junseo had also parked behind her. She thought about calling Woobin, but did not because she didn't know if Mina would like it. In the end, she drove straight home while Junseo continued behind her until they arrived. Junseo stayed inside his car and watched as the nanny took Mina out of the car and into the house. Mina and Junseo waved at each other, after which Junseo drove back to his hotel room. He packed some of his clothes into a bag and bought some foodstuffs at the mall before returning to Muna's house. He parked his car along the street to prevent Mina from knowing he was in her house when she came back. He rang the bell and the nanny opened the door. When she saw Junseo with bags, she quickly tried to shut the door, but Junseo pushed in and got inside. The nanny stared at him, not knowing what to do. She had called Mina severally, but she didn't take any of her calls. She watched helplessly as Mina and Junseo hugged each other happily. "Are you going to live with us?" Mina asked when she saw the things Junseo brought with him. "I'm going to be here for a while," Junseo replied cheerfully. "Show me to the guest room." Mina jumped and screamed, "Yay!" while Junseo walked behind her as she led him to the room. When they got to the room, the door was locked, but Mina said she knew where the keys were kept. She ran to her mother's room and checked the drawers, but she couldn't find the keys. She came out of Muna's room with a sad expression on her face and said, "I couldn't find the keys." Junseo looked at the nanny and saw that she was smiling. He concluded that she must have hidden the keys and said, "This is even better, princess. I can stay in your room for now until I have my own room." The nanny watched in frustration as Junseo and Mina happily went into her room. She had quickly changed the position of the keys to the guest room because she thought Junseo would give up after that, but now she regretted her actions. Junseo spent the next few hours listening to Mina narrate her life experiences and that of Mina. He laughed at some of the stories and felt bad that he wasn't there for her when she spoke of how Father's Day was celebrated in her school. The nanny sat in the living room, waiting for when they would be done with their bonding moment. After a while, Mina yawned and Junseo laughed. "You must be feeling hungry. Will you like to eat food made by your daddy?" Mina nodded her head and said, "Uh-huh." And after that, Junseo got up and went into the kitchen. The nanny finally had her chance and asked Mina to have her bath and do her homework. Mina reminded her that it was Friday and she had the whole weekend to do her homework. After having her bath, Mina went into the kitchen and watched Junseo cooking. "Your food smells really nice," she praised. "Of course it does," Junseo replied. "I made it for your mummy once before you were born and she really liked it. Why don't you get seated in the dining and let me serve you my special dish?" Mina excitedly got on the chair and watched as Junseo set the plates and food in the dining. Mina arrived right at that moment, and the scene before her was quite shocking. Junseo smiled at her and said, "You're just in time for dinner," while Mina came down from the seat and ran to her. Mina felt as though her eyes were playing tricks on her. She wiped them and turned to stare at her nanny angrily. The nanny quickly raised her hands defensively. "I did everything I could to stop him, but he forced himself into the house. I also tried calling you many times, but you wouldn't answer." Mina realized that she had unknowingly left her phone in the car. She stared at Junseo again, and the smile was still plastered on his face. "Don't take your anger out on your poor nanny. She didn't stand a chance against my persistent spirit."
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share and comment below.